the children as they grow. We get to hold them close, but all the time we know they're in the hands of one who'll never let them go. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, for all that you have done. You filled our lives with joy, serenity, and love. Caught the answers lie inside of everyone. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, is all we need to say, because we know your love is with us every day. You'll always be. Thank you, God. Good morning. Yeah, did you all hear that out there? Good morning. We are not the only ones up here. Yay. We are all friends here. There are no strangers when you walk inside that door. We welcome you to linger in this family of love and hold in our hearts. We are all friends here. There are no strangers when you walk inside that door. We welcome you to linger in this family of love and hold in our hearts. One more time. We are all friends here. There are no strangers when you walk inside that door. We welcome you to linger in this family of love and hold you in our hearts. Yes, we hold you in our hearts.
Thank you, Alan Stanley.
You, Bill.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to Sunday Celebration. Today is October 26th, and I know I'm not supposed to be here, but I am, okay? Then I am supposed to be here. Any newbies here today? Anybody here for the first time? No, it didn't look like it. Okay, all right. So we won't pass out any new books for them, but I know we were ready to do that anyway. I want to start today's service. We're going to do a little couple minutes of meet and greet, but I want to start today's service with just a little bit of an announcement. I'm not sure if all of you are aware, but Julie Smith, a good friend and congregant and wife to Charles Smith, our treasurer, passed this past Monday. So you know, we keep her in our hearts, and it was certainly in my mind as I was preparing today's talk. But anyway, just yeah, we're all thinking about her and her continued journey, and supporting Charles as best we can. So with that being said, why don't we take a few minutes to just meet and greet? Everybody say hello to someone for a minute or two, and then we'll get back to business. ready? Okay, we're back. All right, before we kick things off a little further, I want to thank all of the volunteers today. And I especially want to thank Diana Smith for her work in the kitchen, since she's my wife, and I'll hear about it if I don't do that. So we've got Marina Anderson, Christy Ott, and Alan Stanley, and then our practitioner of the day is Star Starrett. And I don't know if the camera will go that far over, but Anna Kanata has been our greeter for the day. And did I miss anybody? I think we got it all. Got us all. All right. All right. Now we're going to do our Flames of Faith ceremony. Where is the script for the Flames of Faith ceremony?
You know what Alan does?
He keeps
Alan
that.
always brings a spare.
He's good like that. All right. And Diana is going to help us with the gong today for the... Okay. Go to the first one. There we go. We perform the Flames of Faith ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all things, all beings, come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. We first light the unity candle, which represents the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. We light a candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light a candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. Go back one star, please. We light a candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light a candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light a candle for Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light a candle for Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light a candle for Islam, honoring the path of compliance with the will of God as the highest calling. We light a candle acknowledging centers for spiritual living and all forms of new thought, the metaphysical path of a personal relationship of healing through the practice of universal spiritual principle. We light the next candle for inclusivity, affirming that those who are seeking a stronger knowledge and understanding divine love are welcome here. There is nothing outside of God. You are welcome here. We now light the healing candle and invite you to silently offer into the light the names of loved ones, knowing that they are now perfect expression of God, Spirit's eternal wholeness and love.
Thank you, Bill. And right on that ding dong. So songs, and don't do that. And Stephanie's going to come up and read for us and offer invocation. Then we'll come back and step it up a little bit. Namaste, namaste. I see the beauty. Namaste, namaste. I see the beauty. Namaste, namaste. I see the beauty. In your eyes I see a light that's shining through. You radiate such grace, so I bow to you. Namaste, namaste. I see the beauty in you. Namaste, namaste. I see the beauty in you. You give your loving heart to everyone you see. The way you live your life inspires me. Namaste, namaste. I see the beauty in you. Namaste, namaste. I see the beauty in you. Namaste, namaste. I see the beauty in you.
I invite you to just close your eyes or leave them open, it doesn't matter. Knowing that there is only one mind we are all a part of. Because I know that for myself, I know that for each and every one of you. This beauty that I see is me. And so I share it with everyone I see. There is only love. And that love is what connects us all. It connects everything that is dual in nature back to the wholeness that it started from. And I bless this day. I bless this service. And I bless everybody involved with it. And I bless every congregant with the wholeness that is already present in life, available, waiting patiently for everyone to namaste. And so I release this prayer into the truth of who and what we really are, as together we say yes, and so it is. Okay, I'm going to read to you about our subject today, which is life and death, from a study that I did this year called Kabbalistic Healing. It's by Jason Schulman. And the topic is Death is the Pain of the World. Death is the pain of the world because all things created hate to die. To die is to submerge part of oneself, to slip consciously into the openness that does not protest against pain or the changing of the world. Whenever we, without self-pity, but with an awakened acceptance, say, "This is the way the world is," we are dying. Dying in a way a wave sinks back into the ocean, tired of its momentary existence, exultant in its moment of height, and accepting of the loss of the kinetic energy that kept it aloft. It sinks downwards into the ground of its being, hanging together by gravity for a little while, and then shift upon shift spreads out until it is not a wave, but an outline of what a wave could be. And then even less, as some of its substance is raised up as part of another wave, another purpose, another life and death, another timing, another rhythm. It is picked up momentarily, put down, and picked up once again. When we remain whole and see the laws of this world, we die. We die because the true laws of this world, God's laws, do not favor one side or the other, but only wholeness. The wholeness that is beyond description or conflict, that has only truth as its center. True laws are always the centers around which the opposites of this world orbit. When we see our blindness and that of others around us, and we neither exclude ourselves from it nor partake of it, we stay alive and dip at the same time. It is like laughing and crying at an event of great significance. We then feel alone, even as we lean on our companion, who we know feel alone as well. We signal to them as if across a vast distance, as close as brothers and sisters, yet infinitely far. As we let go of opinions, a piece of the world disappears. But this piece was only a piece, and a piece, no matter how many of them are put together, can never be a whole. So a piece disappears. It drops out of sight into wholeness. At first, we panic a little. We keep looking for who we were. Sometimes, much to our bad luck, we find him or her and return briefly to our old home and try to set up a life that is already leaving us. Eventually, we let even the peace fall away, and then we are completely dead. And being dead, we are free to live. And we catch glimpses of others throughout history who have found the same thing, and the currents made by their arms and hearts, their feelings and form, thread around us, and we sing to the stag in the night, the wild beast who of its own accord comes down from the high fields to graze with the flocks, but who maintains its wild nature, its wild and original mind. Death is the pain of the world and also the recipe for its illumination. It makes the slight glinting beauty that consumes us. It makes every moment precious and sad, and living and free. We don't hesitate. We stop and look. I hope with all my heart for a future world where the attitude and experience of death has been greatly changed. One where the dead themselves are seen anew and alive. Not alive in a superstitious sense, as spirits that haunt the living, or even act as guides. Newly mented channels and sages who advise the living in matters pertaining to life, but as one with us in the continuity of God's world. I hope for a society where the fear of death is tempered, not by the fantasy, but by certainty, This alone would teach us how to live. I envision a future where we understand how large the unity is that God operates from. A time when our small faith has been expanded by knowing a relationship with certainty that is beyond dogma or any fixed idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you. Well, we're going to take a small step now. And I can hear who's singing and who isn't singing. I'm taking one small step instead of looking at the mountain. I'm taking one small step. It gets me closer to my goal. I'm taking one small step instead of looking at the mountain. And it won't seem like I've got that far to go. Thank you. I'm taking one small step instead of looking at the mountain. Taking one small step gets me closer to my goal. I'm taking one small step instead of looking at the mountain. It won't seem like I've got that far to go. I've got dreams filled with passion. I've got fears that pop up in my way, but I've got power deep down in my soul. That I gotta take one small step instead of looking at the mountain. I'm taking one small step, keeps me closer to my goal. I'm taking one small step instead of looking at the mountain, and it won't seem like I've got that far to go. I got off the track, couldn't find my way back. Until I found the key that I gotta take one small step instead of looking at the mountain. One small step gets me closer to my goal. I'm taking one small step instead of looking at the mountain, and it won't seem like I've got that far to go. I'm taking one small step instead of looking at the mountain. Taking one small step gets me closer to my goal. I'm taking one small step instead of looking at the mountain, and it won't seem like I've got that far to go. No, it won't seem like I've got that far to go. No, it won't seem like I've got that far to go.
Thank you, Alan. Well done. Thank you, Stephanie, for both the prayer, a beautiful prayer, and the reading. All right. I've got to talk here somewhere. Thought we'd do that one. Okay. Today's recommended talk title is called Life and Death. And get the fog off my glasses. There we go. We're all experiencing life, but this week with the passing of our beloved friend and congregant, Julie Smith, kind of made me think a little bit more about both sides of that coin. And you know, I've actually had a couple friends, other friends, pass this past year, guys that I played football with 40 plus years ago, and you know, two of my good friends passed away with brain cancers, and very interesting and troubling thing. So I decided, okay, let's take a you know, as I'm getting ready for this talk that's about life and death, we have a death in our congregation, and I've got a couple that I really haven't dealt with, really haven't kind of, you know, put through the grist mill, you know, of what really is going on with life and death. So I decided to dive into Ernest Holmes a bit, and Ernest and I got to be spent a lot of time together this week, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. And so the talk title actually changed to Life and Death and Immortality, because I think that's really in Science of Mind, that's really the way we look at it. It's the way I have really come around to talk about, to think about that this week. So my understanding about immortality is highly influenced by the teachings of Ernest Holmes, as I just mentioned. So I'm gonna invite Ernest to lead most of the discussion today, based on his words and thoughts and beliefs, most of which are published in the Science of Mind. And the first quotation I want to start with is from him: "I believe in the continuation of the personal life beyond the grave, in the continuity of the individual stream of consciousness with a full recognition of itself and the ability to know and make itself known." So I think what Ernest Holmes is saying there is that we retain much, if not all, of what we experience in any one life when we move to the next life. You know, so it's a grand accumulation rather than a loss. Let's start with immortality itself. I got to really be careful with that word today. And what does that even mean? Ernest Holmes defines immortality as the continuation of personal experience beyond this life. And I think that helps. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. But what does he mean by personal experience? What form does that take? You know, what should be our experience of immortality? Well, our understanding of immortality is that when we pass to the next plane of personality, plane of existence, we not only continue to exist, but that we continue as a self-conscious personality. And we can only do that if we maintain a continuous stream of the same consciousness and the same self-knowingness that we possess in our current passing, or in our before our passing. This personality, it's the retention of memory from all of our past lives. Now, some of us, like Sue here, has the ability to recall a lot of those past lives. Others of us, like myself, I don't have recollection of that on a cognitive level. And shameless plug for Sue, she's doing a workshop, woo-woo workshop after today's service, and I'm sure she'll be going into that somewhat. But regardless of whether we have a concrete memory of that or not, it is there. It has happened, and it's in our record. And what about the body? According to Ernest Holmes, the body, or form, as he calls it in the Science of Mind, is the necessary outcome of self-knowingness. In order to know, there must be something to be known. And he goes on with this quote: "Body is a concrete manifestation, existing in time and space, for the purpose of furnishing a vehicle through which life may express itself. The physical universe is the body of God." And in this case, he's talking about all of the physical universe, not just the body that I happen to be in or you happen to be in. It is a manifestation in form of the mind of God. It is that creation which, while it may have beginnings and ends, of itself neither begins nor ends. The manifestation of spirit is necessary. If spirit is to come into self-realization, hence body. He goes on to say that our bodies are like a river, forever flowing. The indwelling spirit alone maintains the identity. And I think, as Stara was saying in her reading, and I really hadn't considered it this way, if you think about a wave in the ocean, a wave could be considered like a lifetime. A wave begins, a wave ends. A wave begins, a wave ends. But the soul of the ocean itself, continues and is eternal through each and every one of these waves. I thought that was a great parallel. Every man is an incarnation of God. The soul can no more be lost than God could be lost. Ernest goes on to talk about the level of activity that we will all and have eventually achieve in the next life and the next life. And he talks about that interestingly. If today is the logical continuance of yesterday, then all of the tomorrows, which down the vista of eternity will be a continuity of experiences and remembrance. We shall keep on keeping on, which I thought was a 1960s phrase, but this is written in what, 27 or 29? Yeah, we shall keep on keeping on. We shall continue in our own individual stream of consciousness, but forever and ever expanding. Not less, but ever more and still more ourselves. So keep on keeping on. That's Ernest's recommendation. This concept and this description, this discussion of immortality gives me a great deal of peace and hope. It has certainly helped me over the past week and I'm sure will in the future. Personally, it helps me kind of dispel the fears and concern of death, and knowing that my immortality will bring in, and knowing what my immortality will bring in the next incarnation of life. But the science of mind is not the only faith tradition that talks about life after death. Something similar occurs in the Mexican culture that's celebrated in November called the Day of the Dead. Or, here comes my Spanish lesson for the day, Dia de los Muertos. This multi-day holiday involves family and friends gathering to pay respects and remember the friends and family members who have transitioned. It's a joyous celebration of life, not a somber memorial. And it's based on ancient indigenous traditions, both the Mayan and some Aztec as well as Toltec, I'm understanding. But they're also blended with a little bit of Catholicism, to kind of create the entire thing for that region. The popular belief is that on that day, the deceased souls return to this world to visit family and friends. Let's get there we go. To visit family and friends, and in order to facilitate this, there are certain rituals that are carried out to prepare for these visits, for the visiting spirits. 3 of these rituals include altars, offerings, and light. We'll take a look at each of these rituals and examine how they can be applied and reflected in our own daily lives. Let's start with the altar. I think we have an altar here. And there's, obviously these altars are as different as every house that creates them. The altar, or ofrenda, is built for the Day of the Dead to honor and welcome the spirits and deceased loved ones. So this is oftentimes constructed in homes or in churches or somewhere to welcome the deceased back. Oftentimes they're decorated very elaborately. As you can see, this one has a number of things on it, often with pictures of the deceased, their favorite foods, drinks, personal belongings. They typically have marigolds. And I don't see any marigolds on this one, but apparently marigolds, the scent of the marigold is supposedly pleasant to the spirits, and the bright orange color tends to guide them in, which they also say about candlelight. But there's 4 elements to the altar: water, wind, earth, and fire. So water is represented by a glass of water or a pitcher of water, and that is, I guess, being a spirit and finding your way back is thirsty work. So you have to have that. The wind. So you see all the paper banners that are on the altar. That represents the wind, and the earth is for food, like the person's favorite food, or and oftentimes there's a traditional bread that's served. I guess it's called pan de muertes, the bread of the dead. And then fire by candles, which light the way for the spirits. And we've got another altar here. This is a different one, just showing some of the different things. The altar has different levels to it, and as you see, they all kind of take steps up. And these represent the worlds that the person will go through to reach eternal rest. And sometimes there's 3, and sometimes there's 4, and there's and some even as many as 7 different levels, depending on the culture. Like the ofrenda, our science of mind teaches that there are states of consciousness. And one of the things that we learn in some of the science of mind classes about the states of consciousness. And I understand, since I went through practitioner training, those states have gone from 4 to 5. So I'm not going to talk about the 5. I'm going to talk about the 4 that I was trained in. And like Ernest Holmes says, science of mind is always open at the top. We're always gaining more knowledge and increasing our knowledge as we spiral upward. But those 4 states of consciousness that I was taught are, first, what we used to call victim mentality. Where everything is done to me, okay? And then as we start to develop a little bit of personal power and understanding that we do control our conditions, it's what's referred to as by me, okay? So that's definitely a step in the right direction from victim mentality. And then the third stage is through me, where you realize that God is acting, and that what you were talking about in stage 2 was personally doing these things yourself with your power. You realize that it's God's power that's really making these things happen, and it's happening through you. And then as you ascend to what we consider the highest level, it's where we are working as God, okay? And it's and it's not something where you definitely always move from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, On any given day, you are moving around through these 4 stages, and I think you personally choose them. That's kind of a parallel to working up the stages of the ofrenda that in the Day of the Dead culture. So I guess the question here is, what level of consciousness do you see yourself at today? If we all have that option and that ability to choose that when we crawl out of bed every morning, or when we get out of our car, to walk into some place that may be challenging, we choose a level. The next ritual of the Day of the Dead is the offerings that you see on the altars. And I think here's another one. That one is Marigold City, but but there's a lot of offerings. There's things that people bring, to welcome their loved ones or deceased ones home. They're starting with the marigolds, and the things that the deceased like including their favorite food. The offerings are given as thanks to that person who is deceased for being in their lives, for the contributions they've made in their lives. Which if we're looking at parallels between this culture and science of mind, it reminds me of our sacred practice of gratitude. Oftentimes we're lacking in gratitude, and it really helps us to move forward if we focus on what we're grateful for. So what can you be more grateful for than the gifts that someone who has passed on has left for you? Rather than having grief over having lost this friend or family member, the mood turns towards gratitude, gratitude for their gifts to your life. These offerings also remind us of the law of circulation, which doesn't end when the body stops breathing, of course. Our actions today have an impact on tomorrow. So a couple questions I'd ask. What feeling am I sowing today in life? And in what way do I honor and contribute today to the future of my society, or my center, or my teachings? In light of the offerings. And the last ritual that I want to talk about for the Day of the Dead is light. Sometimes it's represented by candles, most of the time by candles. And the candles are often placed on the altar, and I think in the three examples that I've shown, all three of them have light, have candles as light. And the candle's flame signifies light and hope, and it's also a way of guiding, another way, along with the smell of the marigolds, of guiding the spirit home. But in science of mind, we recognize that the great mystics have all been illuminated, and light is a common factor running through all of the mystics by living in the cosmic light, that light that is everlasting. But in reality, we're all born with that possibility of seeing and living in an enlightened state of consciousness. In fact, that should be part of our objective, moving through the day. So a couple more questions, and we'll have a minute, in a few minutes, to contemplate these questions. What are our spiritual practices that allow us to experience enlightenment? What do we do as a science of mind community, and what do I do personally, to experience this enlightenment? Next is, what is your personal belief toward enlightenment? So two important questions. The Mexican ritual of Dia de los Muertos illustrates the lives of our loved ones who have made their transition, but it also offers a wake-up call to enter within ourselves and reflect on what we are leaving today for the future. So I'd like us to take a few minutes of silent meditation and consider the 4 or 5 questions that I've kind of thrown out during this talk. So I invite you all to either close your eyes if you're comfortable, or just soften your gaze if that makes you more comfortable, and think about these 4 questions or 5 questions that I've posed to you, and I'll restate them now. Which level of consciousness do you see yourself in today? What feeling am I sowing in life today? In what way do I honor and contribute today to the future of my society, my center, and our teachings? What are our spiritual practices that allow us to experience enlightenment? What is my personal belief toward enlightenment? Come back, bring your consciousness back to the room. I'd like to conclude my talk with a quote from, another quote from Ernest Holmes, surprisingly, that actually turns into a poem. I don't know if many of you have read a lot of Ernest Holmes, but he was quite the poet. He and his brother both did a lot of poetry writing. So this starts out as a quotation, a standard out of the book quotation, but it turns into a poem toward the end. So we prepare not to die, but to live. The thought of death should slip from our consciousness altogether. And when this great event of the soul takes place, it should be beautiful, sublime, a glorious experience. As the eagle, freed from its cage, rises to its original height, so the soul, freed from its home in a heavy flesh, will rise and return unto its Father's house, naked and unafraid. When death shall come, and the spirit freed shall mount the air, and wander afar in that great nowhere, it shall come as it came. It shall go as it came, free from sorrow, sin, and shame, and naked and bare through the upper air shall go alone to that great nowhere. Hinder not its onward way, grieve not o'er its form of clay, for the spirit freed, now from clod, shall go alone to meet its God. All right. And our affirmation of the day is, I'll say it once and then we'll all say it together. I honor the eternal flow of my life and death, knowing my light shines beyond all form and time. And together, I honor the eternal flow of life and death, knowing my light shines beyond all form and time. And so it is. All right. I'll close in prayer. That's new? I'm a maverick, you know that, Chris. So as we bring this day to a conclusion, I know we do so in the presence of the one true Spirit. I know we are in God's life, and God's life is eternal, and God's life is everlasting. And that immortality that we have discussed, that is God and that is God's plan. And and I am slap in the middle of it. And just as I know that I am one with this Spirit, I am one in this immortal circle of life, I know that each and every one within the power of my voice, within my sight, and everyone who opens this presentation or this slideshow at a later date is as well. So I just know that as we discuss the time and the place and time and space in this life that we enjoy, I know that that is an illusion. I know that there is much, much more to what we are than what we experience in this short life and in the next short life and in the short life that just passed. I know that it is a continuous and ongoing life that our soul traverses. I know that each and every moment that we spend, while precious, is just the beginning of the rest of this existence. And I know that I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for this knowing. I'm grateful for this teaching that shows me this life and the next life and how that works itself out. I'm grateful for having had Julie Smith in my life. I'm grateful for all of the contributions and the smiles and the memories I have of her. I'm grateful for having known her in this life. So I just release my word to the law of God, knowing that it is complete and it is done, and so it is. So next we are on to that. Thank you, Bill. Okay, all right. Before we do announcements, we will do the offering and the prayer of the offering. So, Alan, you want to play a little bit for us, and just know that as if you have not made a contribution yet, we'll take a few minutes so you can drop a little something in the bowl, and Alan will do a little ditty, and we'll be right back.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. I am only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. I am only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. My heart is open wide. I am only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. I am only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I am only here for God. I am free in the Spirit. I am only here for God.
Just as you're, hopefully as you were making a donation, notice that there are affirmation cards there, and Reverend Joe and Reverend Rachel have made up a new set that are personalized for us. These are just two of the many of them, but they actually have our logo on the back, and I think they're beautiful on our website on the front. So Pick a few up. I think they're handy to have, and if you run into a conversation or have a conversation with someone about Centers for Spiritual Living, you have it, and you can pass it along. Rick, would you bring the bowl up, and we'll all pray on it. So I am grateful for these contributions. I am grateful for the energy and the flow of energy that is part of this form of currency. I'm grateful for all of the contributions to this center that move this center forward and allow this Centers for Spiritual Living to also benefit others in the community and within our teaching and our lives. So I'm just grateful, and I just let it be so, and so it is. All right, now it is time for our announcements.
I'll do it.
Star, would you like me to do them?
No, I can get up. I just was waiting for
Okay, all right. Well, we already ran through that, right?
Okay. No Zoom. No Zoom this afternoon, everyone. So email your questions or comments to Reverend Joe about today's talk if you have any concerns and want to know more. He's ready and able. The next in-person service is November 9th, the beneathness. What's underneath all of this? Details are in the newsletter. But before that, November 2nd, online, Decoding the Unlikability. What don't I like about what's underneath, whatever. And then the beneathness. Prayer requests, our practitioners are available for a moment of prayer. Behind the screen over there, if you choose to have a moment with us, that's perfectly fine. Or you can email our practitioners for prayer at CSLSG.org/about, and details are in the newsletter. Your gifts make a difference, step into service, and help our community thrive. Volunteer opportunities are soundboard tech and video streaming tech and greeters and kitchen support and social media. Your hands, your heart, and your home, they're all welcome here. Donate a relevant book, take one and leave one, or leave a love offering. Browse our collection of spiritually inspiring and uplifting books. Located in the back during in-person Sunday services, and thank you for supporting our community. All of the funds go to CSL. Do you speak woo-woo? Woo-hoo! Facilitated by Sue Fulmer. It's a $20 or love offering today after service at 12:30. Join us in discussion about near-death experiences and past lives, mediumship, clairaudience, clairvoyance, synchronicity, signs and symbols, oracle readings, tarot, energy healing, and more. And she has a special announcement. So.
Today is free. It's an information workshop about what we might talk about later. So
Yep.
no charge today.
Oh, okay. All right. So let there be peace on earth. Go for it.
Take it away, Alan. All right. Somebody want to come up and sing with us? Right up here. Give us a hand. Come on, everybody.